So Rob, this is video 3. We're just setting off from the little car park where we had a few minutes chat. Quite a good place to stop. Lift your foot. That's good. Lift your foot straight away. It was a good route you planned for us. There's some interesting things. Some nice town work. A roads and B roads, motorway, dual carriageway. You did really well. Good route. And this now is a much better distance. And what I mentioned to you was that where you have the broken line hashes on the right, then should this lorry decide to reverse, you've got an escape route. So that's perfect. With the escape route, you could be 2 meters closer to the lorry and still be safe, but I think that's just as good as you can get. Bit of a long wait at these traffic lights, so that gives me another opportunity to say how pleased I was with your standard of riding. So many things people get wrong, you get right. Again, no point checking over your right shoulder. You should be checking over your left shoulder, not your right shoulder there. Perfect position. Just, you can see the crud, the lighter shade of crud in the middle. Then the crud disappears. Often does that where there's a junction. So, main hazard from the right. Nicely handled. Need to look left, and you did. Well done. So you see pedestrians on the left and driveways. This is residential, so much better to be just to the right of the crud, which is where you are now. That's perfect. So not near the white line, but not near the curb is exactly where you should be. Mirror check 50. But there's a hold up. So again, I mentioned about the escape route is often the curb, the sidewalk here, pavement. So should the lorry decide to come back, we would just pop up onto the pavement. Obviously check that there's not a pedestrian going to be hurt. So again, we could get a bit closer now. We've got an escape route. We could get a bit closer to the lorry. One advantage of coming to a halt by the curb rather than by the white line is that when you set off, you only have to look just over your right shoulder because you know that nothing can creep past you on the left. Whereas where you are now, you can have cyclists and motorcyclists and all sorts of people creep past you on the left and even on the right. So it's much better to close them out by being over to the left. Glad the rain stopped and the sunshine came again. Wasn't a perfect day, but for our purpose I thought it was almost ideal. Don't like really hot days when I've got to wear my motorcycle outfit. This video is 14.5 minutes and we've had 6, so they soon go by. So a sign for a bend, and the word slow in the road, and a solid white line, and chevrons. So you put all those things together, and you'd imagine that it's a tight bend, but actually it isn't. And the best source of information about that comes from the crud rather than the chevrons or anything else. So you see the lorry, how close the lorry is to the white line, and the importance of staying away from the lorry on the right hand bend. So the simplicity of it is that if you take the crud as the centre, as it usually is, then if you need to go around a left hand bend, you stay right to give you the view, and if you need to go around a right hand bend, you stay left to give you the view. Obviously those are general principles, and sometimes you need to modify those slightly, but one of the easiest overtakes is when there's a right hand bend and you are well over to the left, because as the bend opens out, you as the motorcyclist seat about the same time as the car driver or the lorry driver, and then that's the best opportunity just to use your acceleration and glide past them. But we haven't spoken at all about overtakes. So we're turning left, indicate left. Now there's a bus stop and there's a pavement. So when we turn left, we need to do what's called a pavement check. In other words, do not assume that there's not a pedestrian. So all that you do when you turn left, do a little shoulder check. There you go. That's nice. Shoulder check left. And that's perfect. And then, not sure we need both sides again, but a little check to the right. So those basic things that you do so well are really unusual, and that makes my life a lot easier, because if I take somebody out who's ridden a lot and they don't get the basics right, things like the stopping procedures and the starting off procedures, then it's quite hard work to get them to start doing those things again. So here you are. So you're right of crud, and there's no hazard on the left, so you could come where I am, look, to be left of crud, and that brings you further away from the lorry. Over the brow to the left. Now you've got a right hand bend and you're the wrong side of the crud. So that's when you're vulnerable. That's when it just demonstrates that you haven't had a conversation about the crud, and you just see, can you see how being the wrong side of the crud brings you much closer to the oncoming traffic? Could have been a wide farm vehicle as well as the lorry, and it's just unnecessary. Poor road surface, 40 miles an hour, and the road surface is so poor, you need to pick your line based on three things really. The first is safety, obviously, the second is stability, and the third is view. Safety first, stability second, and the view third. And there you are, look again, wrong side of crud. You might say, well, that's okay because I need to get a better view. You could have got a better view if you'd gone left of the crud and then come across the crud at the right time to get the view around the bend. That's better. Okay, now turning right. Three minutes to go. So as you know, this takes us towards Leighton Hospital, and this is one of the hospitals the blood banks visit regularly. We've got a regular pickup, sort of what we call an SLA, contract service level agreement with Leighton Hospital. And same with the milk at Chester Milk Bank, regular pickup. And lots of hospitals we have regular picks up with every day at 8:20. We go from the Royal Stoke Hospital down to Birmingham. So if you're the duty rider, then you pick up at 8:20 and go down the motorway. And that's the most dangerous bit of motorway in the country. And at 8:20, 20 to 9, you really need to know how to ride a motorway. So this is where I thought it might be helpful if you had an explanation about the crud and how to interpret the crud and how to ride to the crud, how to read the crud. So in a short while we'll stop and have a conversation about that. So a right-hand bend, so you need to be to the left. There is a junction on the left, so where you were was fine. You need to compromise for the junction on the left. Two kinds of junctions, what we call a closed junction and an open junction. Closed junction you can't see into, an open junction you can. And here we are arriving at our roadside stop. Here we go.